Racist thugs harass old black woman. She shuts it down with one call. I want to tell you a story that still sits heavy on my heart. It was a Tuesday afternoon. One of those days where the air feels soft and the breeze carries the sound of kids laughing in the distance. I had just grabbed a soda from the corner store and was cutting through the park on my way home. It's a nice little park, quiet most days, with a few benches and a tall oak tree that gives good shade in the summer. That's where I saw her. Miss Loretta. She's been a part of our neighborhood longer than I've been alive. Everyone knows her. She's the kind of woman who remembers your birthday, shows up with a warm plate when she hears you're sick, and always has a kind word no matter how rough your day's been. She's got silver hair wrapped in a colorful scarf and a voice that could calm a storm. To us, she's more than a neighbor, she's family. Every Tuesday, she sits on that same bench under the oak tree and feeds the birds. Rain or shine. It's her little ritual. Something about it always felt peaceful, like her presence alone kept the world from falling apart. But this Tuesday was different. As I got closer, I noticed 3 young white guys standing nearby. They looked out of place, loud, restless energy, the kind that made the hair on the back of your neck stand up. You could tell they weren't from around here. And the way they were looking at Miss Loretta, it wasn't right. They were laughing, throwing little insults her way, loud enough for her to hear but not loud enough to draw a crowd. I slowed down, listening. "Hey Grandma, you sure you're allowed to be out here?" one of them said with a smirk. "Shouldn't you be waiting for the bus back to your part of town?" another added. The third guy whistled and said, "Feeding the birds or begging for crumbs?" They thought they were being funny. They weren't. Miss Loretta didn't look at them. She didn't react. She just kept tossing breadcrumbs to the birds, calm and quiet like she didn't hear them. But I saw the way her hands trembled just a little. I saw the tightness in her jaw. She was scared, but she wasn't going to let them see that. They kept going. One of them said, "Bet if the cops came, she'd be the first one they'd drag out of here. Loitering or some nonsense like that." The others laughed again. Cruel laughter. Cold and heartless. I felt my chest tighten. I wanted to do something, say something. But before I could step in, Miss Loretta reached into her purse. Smooth. Calm. No panic in her movement. She pulled out her phone and made one call. I stood there just a few steps away trying to hear. She put the phone to her ear and said, "Hey baby. Yeah, I'm at the park. Got a few boys out here causing trouble. Mind coming by for a minute?" That was it. That's all she said. She didn't raise her voice. Didn't threaten. Just spoke like she was ordering groceries. Then she hung up and went right back to feeding her birds. The 3 guys were still chuckling. One of them, the loudest, mocked her voice and said, "Ooh, I called my grandson. Is he gonna come save you, Grandma?" Miss Loretta looked up at him for the first time. Her eyes were steady. No fear, no anger. Just certainty. She said, "You'll find out soon enough." And that was it. About 5 minutes later, I heard engines low and smooth. 3 big black SUVs pulled into the lot near the park. Tinted windows. All black. The kind of cars that make you straighten up without even knowing why. The doors opened and out stepped 6 men. Tall. Built. Serious faces. They weren't yelling or waving weapons. Just walking with a kind of quiet authority that told you they weren't here to play games. One of them walked straight over to Miss Loretta and gave her a kiss on the cheek. "You okay, Auntie?" he asked. She smiled and nodded. "I'm fine now." Then he turned and looked at the 3 young guys. Didn't yell. Didn't curse. Just said, clear and calm, "You got 10 seconds to leave before I show you what real trouble looks like." Everything went silent. The 3 guys went pale. You could see the fear bloom on their faces. One of them tried to laugh it off. Something about it all being a joke, but his voice cracked. They backed off real quick, stumbling over each other as they walked away. No more jokes. No more laughs. They disappeared down the street fast. The men stayed for a while, standing close to Miss Loretta, forming this quiet circle of protection around her. They weren't in a rush. They weren't just there to scare off trouble. They genuinely cared. You could see it in the way they spoke to her, soft voices, kind eyes. They asked if she needed anything. One of them offered to walk her home. Another handed her a cold bottle of water. It was simple, thoughtful stuff, but it meant everything. They called her Auntie. Like she was everyone's auntie, like she belonged to all of us. And she did. I stood a little off to the side just watching. Honestly, I was still kind of stunned. My heart was still beating fast from the tension earlier. But what I felt now wasn't fear. It was something heavier, deeper. I had just watched an elderly black woman get harassed in broad daylight, and then I watched her handle it with more grace and power than I've ever seen. Eventually, after the tension had melted away, I walked over. I didn't even know what to say. I just opened my arms and hugged her. It wasn't one of those quick, polite hugs either. I held her tight, and she held me back. I was just relieved, grateful, angry, all of it at once. I kept thinking, what if she hadn't made that call? What if nobody came? What if something worse had happened? She looked up at me and gave me that smile. That warm, motherly smile that seemed to reach right into your soul. The kind of smile that says, I've seen worse and I'm still standing. Then she said, they thought I was alone. But I got family everywhere. I'm never alone. And man, that hit me deep. It wasn't just a sweet thing to say. It was truth. Heavy truth. Because this wasn't just about her safety. This was about something much bigger. It was about the way our community holds each other. The way we protect our elders. Not just with words, but with presence, with love, with action. It was about standing up against hate in the most human way possible, by showing that no one stands alone when we stand together. Miss Loretta didn't have to raise her voice. She didn't curse them out. She didn't stoop to their level. She held her dignity like a crown. And that was more powerful than anything those boys had. She didn't need to fight. She knew her worth. She knew the strength of her roots. And she knew without a doubt that her people would come for her. Not out of obligation, but out of love. Out of respect. That day reminded me of something we sometimes forget. That our elders carry stories, pain, survival, and strength. And it's our job, no, our honor, to protect them the way they've protected us for generations. All it took was one phone call. One calm voice. Thank you so much for watching and being a part of this journey. Every story we share here is meant to inspire, educate, and spark real conversations about the struggles and triumphs of our people. If this video resonated with you, if it made you think, or if you learned something new, do me a favor, hit that like button. It really helps get this message out to more people. I also want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Whether it's your perspective, an experience, or just some words of encouragement. This channel is not just about telling stories. It's about building a community where our voices are heard. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. I put my heart into creating these videos, and I don't want you to miss what's coming next. There's so much more to uncover, so much more truth to tell, and I want you right here with me for the journey. Most importantly, if you believe this message needs to be heard, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs to see it. Whether it's a friend, a family member, or your whole social media feed, let's spread awareness, educate, and uplift each other. Thank you for your time, your support, and your energy.